Martin Luther King Jr. himself said famously, "What is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive, and that love without power is sentimental and anemic." And for people who aren't familiar with what that word is, basically it means weak. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is love correcting everything that stands against love. While yes, this quote goes way above and beyond something as simple as gaming, these principles are systemic in that they impact many different aspects of society at all different levels. In fact, you could argue that this could go all the way from incredibly massive events in recent history, all the way down to your software development manager choosing to be a dick that day. This Martin Luther King Jr. quote is very relevant here. Forcing myself to not make a full ContraPoint styled video on this topic, I'm gonna try and keep this as direct as I can. I might ultimately end up doing the ContraPoint styled video. Love without power is sentimental and anemic. Absolutely anyone looking at World of Warcraft and its community, even if they have never touched a game in their entire lives, can see extremely clearly that there is so much passion here. It is burgeoning with passion. And let's be real frank here. If people don't give a shit about the product or the game or whatever, there is no way that they would care about it. It's just like, look at any games and how they've died. WildStar, that died not with a bang, but with a whimper. Same deal with Firefall and a laundry list of other games that I have played in the past that aren't really a thing anymore. If people don't care, then they aren't gonna do the effort to make multiple page-long forum posts, actively download and test a PTR, which for anyone thinking that, oh, it's a privilege to be on the PTR, bullshit. Pretty much every other sphere of software development, testers are actually people that you hire and you pay literal money to. But then these same people go from this public test realm to test, they do the testing, then they synthesize massive, elaborate theory crafting and forum posts and video responses. Good luck convincing anyone that this isn't fueled purely by passion. But we're getting off track. Let's cycle it back to the quote. Love without power is sentimental and anemic. Anemic is actually a great word to describe the way that the player base of World of Warcraft is right now. Love is there, but without the power to do anything, it boils down to sentimentality and what amounts to completely pointless threads and theory crafting and videos and complaints, and even the best videos, the most well-researched essays and all of that, it's all turned to ash. It's all weak, futile, helpless, this thing that they love and have in many instances literally invested years of their life into. These people are completely powerless to help it, and so this is why you see the rage. Now this brings us to our second quote. Power without love is reckless and abusive. Now here's the turning point of the video. Right now we've talked a lot about theory, but in today's video I want to ground it into the question of exactly how are we actually meant to talk about video games to those that make them? In particular, my focus is on World of Warcraft. But how are we meant to convey our concerns, our aspirations, our desires, our dreams to those that produce the product that brings us so much joy? Whether or not we'd like to admit it, art is a huge part of life, and gaming is fundamentally taking part in an art form. And in 2021, it is undeniably one of the biggest pillars of the entertainment industry, and while when I was born it was a little bit more taboo, it is incredibly mainstream now. Why I'm saying that is because we have such a huge amount of players across the entire globe playing games. We have some of the most talented developers from the entire planet working on these in this industry. It is incredible just what this industry is, and the sheer scope of just how many people are involved in it is staggering. And what may have one day been people in Greek history worshipping Apollo, Hecate, or Mars, we've really kind of devolved ourselves into worshipping in a new way Blizzard, Square Enix, Activision, and many other corporations. Essentially, in today's modern world, we have truly created these false idols that a third party looking in like an alien from a Fermi paradox or whatever would assume, hey, we worship these corporations as deities, just like the Greeks would Zeus, Apollo, and the rest back in the day. Only today, now we call them Amazon or Activision Blizzard. And whenever you make a sort of criticism video, I think that one of the most important things is to take a step back and realize that the great irony of it all is even the developers themselves are really caught inside of the machinations of the so-called worship of these companies. Essentially, fundamentally, their life energy, their time on this planet is being spent working to produce more under their name, Activision Blizzard. They're gonna do sometimes unpaid overtime, sacrificing time with their friends and family, but I'm gonna leave that entire discussion down to someone far better informed than I, like Jason Schreier. But at the heart of what I'm trying to convey right now at this point is that these larger-than-life entities with a veritable army of followers, which for the record are given full legal recognition as a person, and honestly wield far more power than even the CEO themselves. The Activision Blizzard brand is greater than any single entity in it. This entity, this so-called Greek god equivalent, is in full control over this project. Anyone else is truly swept up in the machinations. Precipitate of this effect is that we have seen articles about massive layoffs at Blizzard, so we're all kind of a slave to the beast. Now, cutting that short, because that could be a textbook in and of itself, is that the real question we're asking when we want change is if we continue to play into this modern-day Greek gods metaphor, how exactly are we meant to convey our concerns to these entities? Now, if you want the too long didn't watch version rather than the extensive deep dive, is the Activision Blizzard quote-unquote Greek god really doesn't give a fuck, at least not from what I can see. So now, in my great journey to uncover the question of how can we convince the great Activision Blizzard to take our concerns seriously, I have stumbled upon forum posts. Perhaps these will give us the answer to communicate to the great Blizzard what we want. While doing a deep dive on this, which could easily be a half-an-hour video on its own, diving into the World of Warcraft PTR forums and seeing, oh, all these people saying, oh, I was right. I don't know if that provides you schadenfreude. I just want a good game to play personally. But we're going to skip that, and I just want to focus on one single example. Like, notable examples litter the Blizzard forums. What I think is the most disgusting black mark on this so-called festering boil is in fact a sister project to World of Warcraft called Overwatch. Oh, so once back in my day in 2018, there were these threads on the Overwatch forums, these Mercy Megathreads, and yes, there were multiple of these Mercy Megathreads, and yes, as the title that has feedback thread continued would imply, there were multiple of these. And it's funny because even me, in my old age, when I put it into Google, I am given this funny error for a thread from January 30th, 2018, where you can see the text, "Hi everyone, we've continued to see a heavy influx of conversations revolving around hero balance updates impacting Mercy. As the children would say, and I oop. But let us observe the thread that doesn't give this so-called error." Oh, where did that cough come from? Oh, such a random cough. Now here's where things get a little less funny. Let's look at that thread and look at this number. This number should not only shock you, but also disgust you. There are 21,284 posts just in this thread, made between February 18th at the very top of this, down to July 18th of 2018. Why the 18th? Pfft, hell if I know. But it's funny because it's just like Blizzard, I guess, never thought that they would leave a thread hanging. I don't know why that other one aired, but for whatever reason I can pull this one up still. But this, in my opinion, was absolutely humiliating at the time, and I remember back in the day myself, and a plethora of the community, thought of this thread as exactly what, in my opinion, it did end up being. Yes, looking at it now in August of 2021, over 3 years later, I'd say that we were quite correct. This was a garbage can to dump all of the passionate players' feedback and concerns so that the mods could just delete thread, lock thread, close thread. Oh, what, you keep spamming threads on Mercy, let's ban them. And the unfortunate fact is that this thread, we really thought no one would view. It was relegated to the dumpster, and honestly, from my opinion, from the actions taken, it was a dumpster. Unfortunately, if you open the lid to the dumpster, you can see the passion of the player base, and this actually is slightly painful. Like, this should be painful to anyone that actually gives a shit about Blizzard. In this mega thread from 2018, Mercy mains were explaining in painstaking detail why this rework was not wanted, why they loved the character, how painful these changes were, and some of them went into excessive, multiple pages long rework diatribes. So no, I really do not believe at all. I genuinely do not believe at all that any of these feedback threads are related to any content or from any game are taken seriously. They are hucked into the dumpster. I don't think a single one of these replies was seriously read or taken into consideration at all. And this, of course, includes World of Warcraft's PTR forums. If a thread, one single one of these mega threads with over 20,000 posts, was, in everyone's perception at least, dumpstered, what good do you think your 50 reply thread on Hunters is gonna do? Really? 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 Actually, I do lump Reddit into here. I actually even will put Reddit lower, in my mind at least, on their priorities, because the post in World of Warcraft forums, that requires you to have an active subscription to the World of Warcraft in order to post like the PTR and that. So literal paying customers. Or Overwatch, those were people that owned Overwatch, so literal paying customers are ignored. What chance in absolute hell do you think potentially unpaying people from Reddit have? But now I question, what about content creators and videos? What about their literal largest streamer that up until recently was so intensely dedicated to World of Warcraft that they basically were propping up the game with their very existence?
There's another WoW dev, another World of Warcraft developer. He was a systems designer who liked another tweet about me being the toxic person for the game. Yes, there's another one. They hate me. Yes, they're not happy about me. They're very upset about me. So these people are calling me out, and these people are saying negative stuff about me, and it's giving like a stamp of approval to be toxic towards me, an individual. Whenever I criticize a system, whenever I criticize something in the game, I never attach a name to it. I never say, this person is bad. But then whenever you take something and you make it personal towards one person, and if you read these comments of a lot of these different tweets and shit like this, these are not, this is not constructive criticism. These are people that are insulting my appearance, they're insulting my lifestyle, which is degenerate, right? But this is just not grounds to criticize a person on in this way. It's just not. So these are the kinds of people. And they don't talk about the ideas that I have. They don't even talk about the things that I do. They talk about me as a person. This is low-level thinking for low-level-minded people.
Child, as they would say, but he's the asshole, right? Asmongold, what an asshole.
Right? This isn't psychological projection. Of course it's not. If I'm being honest, I'm curious after this month how many rainbow pride and gay LGBTQ plus pins and references and flags they're gonna have. I'm not even joking, I'm kind of curious. Because as a so-called abomination myself and the LGBTQ plus IA community with their, or rather our, very real problems for the record, absolutely loved being used as your shield as a business entity. Though I'm not sure after reading this California lawsuit if we're really the abominations. Blizzard, you're like a coloring book even a child could read you. Ooh, yes, hunty. Oh, slay that runway, yes, God. Oh, yes, rainbow thigh-high socks, yes, God. Oh, work it, queen. Oh, hunty, slay it. Oh, Henny, you're gonna work. Death drop the house. Oh, spread eagle. Oh, yes, bitch, you better work. Who needs RuPaul's Drag Race up in here? When you got them there BlizzCon, turned up for the gays and God. Yes, God, mama. And oh, yes, those hip pads do look good in that dress, queen. As I said, you're like a coloring book, even a child could read you. Even another example would be Preach, who is a huge World of Warcraft creator. He interviewed one of the lead devs at World of Warcraft, and it's just so beyond crazy because even he just recently made a video where he's quitting. So content creators, quote-unquote influencers, like pretty much from what I'm getting from everything, they're kind of in the same boat. But I already feel like this video is getting way longer than I really want it to go, as well as longer than most people's attention spans, and so you know that I didn't want this video to turn into an hour or two long monster video like ContraPoint's video, which I love ContraPoint's video, I really do, but I know that that's not what people come to my channel for, so I'm just gonna not dive into 1,000 billion other examples because I feel that those two major points cover it more than well enough. So I want to close this video out by wrapping everything up in a nice bow. When I started up this video, I started with that quote that I broke up into 2 points that I want to focus on in this video. Love without power is sentimental and anemic. And this is what we're really seeing. We are seeing firsthand this happen. And we're seeing a player base teeming with love and passion towards a project that is, to be quite honest, largely being mishandled in my opinion. And that isn't controversial to say because there has been non-stop complaints issued from the player base for literally, no, not figuratively, literally years now. And I've heard the complaints even here in 14 about Warlords of Draenor, about BFA, and now Shadowlands. And when I went to try Shadowlands, actually with my boyfriend, we experienced firsthand these problems. And it's really heartbreaking, which this heartbreak does lead people down the road to make frustrated posts, and anger, and rage. That's the secondary emotion, though, which is hard for people to really tell. Because it's a symptom of a, honestly, to be quite frank, much more sad and much more discouraging inner root. That their genuine love and care and passion for this game is being trashed on. It's being squatted over and taken a dump on. And they are completely and utterly powerless to stop it. And now for the second part that I quoted, power without love is reckless and abusive. Reckless systems added, ignored feedback, wide-sweeping changes, a level of balance that results in people being left out of content like raids and Mythic Plus because they, quote-unquote, so-called chose the wrong spec for that patch, and balance made them not meta. Yes, you can make the argument anything can clear, but you know what? Me trying to get a group, and this is my personal experience, me trying to get a group in 9.0 as a Beastmaster Hunter on my own was absolutely horrible. In my opinion, the systems in System Lands really was a reckless decision, and people warned them. It was all over the PTR and feedback. I remember reading the threads. They were saying things like 4 different governments with dramatically different abilities for each job, and then unique towns, brand new legendaries, job reworks, blah, blah, blah. It just, as an outsider looking in, looks to me like someone is playing poker on somebody else's dime or chips, whatever. I'd never make that bet myself on my own money, that's for damn sure. Now, abusive. It's my opinion that the actions toward the player base, like relegating feedback into the Mercy dumpster thread, I'm just gonna call it how I see it, and then the outright foul mistreatment of one of our biggest creators in, actually, one of the biggest creators in all of gaming, who probably brought in single-handedly enough revenue to World of Warcraft by keeping people hooked on the game to pay their salaries. It just leaves me feeling really gross and almost disrespected by proxy, which is a strange psychological phenomena that I don't really have time to delve into, but it's like when you're gay, hi, like me, and then you hear someone in the grocery store comment to their kid about the cashier, "Oh, you see that pink-haired loser packing the bags? He's gonna burn, he's disgusting." And meanwhile, you're standing behind them, but you so-called pass as straight, but like, it's like, dang, it's so uncomfortable even though I'm not the target. Welcome to my everyday life. It's fun. Hashtag just minority things. Ultimately, my takeaway is that I genuinely do not know how to communicate with this lumbering Greek god holding World of Warcraft in its hands, slowly crushing it to pieces as you're seeing the debris just fall to... It's falling apart. I have no idea, and I can't think of a single way to influence change, which is why I'm even doing this video. I don't know. Right now, these companies are unwavering, unmoved, looking down upon us.
The rabble, the peasantry.
With not just apathy, but with admonishment, in my opinion. When I look at this lumbering false idol Activision Blizzard, I don't sense love. I don't sense passion anymore. Instead, all I see leaking out is vitriol and game systems that are, in my opinion, nothing short of punitive. Yes, punitive. I might not be in the majority, I might be just in the minority of things, but I sure as heck do not find unending, in my opinion, time-gated grinds or whatever. Like, the Renown thing was just so lame with the weekly caps. Then you have the same systems on systems on systems, and then the forced metas or the rest of it. I don't find that fun. When I tried 9.0, I was miserable. It feels like I'm a child being put in timeout and punished. Why am I punished? Because I chose to play World of Warcraft. What the fuck? Wow. I didn't know that I deserved to be punished for doing that. Okay, well, fuck my money. And now I know, though, right now, at least, I'm not alone in that. But heaven knows when I was going in 9.0, and I'm just like, something's really weird here, that enough fanboys dogpiled me and was like, oh, you're just wrong. Final Fantasy, weeb boy, blah, blah, blah. Like, trust me, I heard it all. Ends up I wasn't alone. But you combine those systems with, in my opinion, the neglect. You combine that with these unkind messages we're seeing, and I don't think it's hard to walk away feeling hated. So that really closes the chapter on this video. It's not the happiest of videos, but it's a question on my mind personally. Just how are we meant to talk about video games and to those who make them? How are we meant to convey our concerns, our aspirations, our desires, or dreams to those who make them? I don't know. And it bugs me.